video on context, I guess. Sort of rhymes with chaos. Laura Layla video. Maybe I will play a little bit of this just so you can hear some of it for yourself. Okay, and also responding to whatever the laughing, don't worry, be happy guy, whatever this guy, whatever. The guy. Yeah, poison philosophies and such. So basically arguing against, I mean, this is something I really didn't think you'd have to come up against with intelligent people. I mean, they would all have heard the line, you know, the ignorance, bliss of ignorance, and they'd all kind of have a regard for the idea that you should at least talk the truth. Maybe you can't live the truth, maybe you can't feel the truth, but you should at least talk the truth. And nobody really wants to do that. Conference report, blue pill of perspective. So again, he's implying perspective that, you know, that's, in my opinion, is just pseudoscience. A lot of it just, you know, this grasping that there is some deeper truth to our existence. It's just all over what he's doing. And his argument was that, you know, there's some fable, that's what I'm going to call it, that there's some tribes in South America, you know, that only live in the rainforest, and so they never see open spaces, and so they don't understand that things get smaller in the distance. And I just find that preposterous. Okay, they have trees, okay, they're hundreds of feet high. I'm sure they explore them all the time. I'm sure they climb up and realize they live in a forest and see across the sea of trees. I'm sure they have those experiences. I'm sure they hunt, probably, or at least are conscious of their predator-prey relationships and have seen things that are hundreds of feet high in the trees. They probably even shoot maybe darts at them or some other kind of crap. So I think this is urban legend, kind of fable-y, whatever you want to call that crap. I think it's just nonsense, written in some nonsense book that somebody just pulled out of their ass, that somehow they didn't understand the concept. I, of course, would argue, would concede that if they are placed in the middle of a desert, it'll take a little bit of time for them to orient to this new vision they see. But it's not because they conceptually haven't experienced it, they just haven't seen it this way. I mean, if I went somewhere and everything was blue, like grass was blue, it would take me a little while to adjust. It wouldn't be a profound and meaningful adjustment, it would just be an adjustment. You know, it wouldn't have some sacred underlying hidden power thingy. So anyway, let's get to this, because this is sort of the core of the bullshit.
But there are very few things that we can make absolutely categorical statements about, because as you point out in your video, you know, we're not seeing all that's there. We are dependent upon the senses that we have, and they are only ever partial. They don't pick up everything on any spectrum.
Okay, so you can get the idea that we're not somehow seeing something that's important. Well, the counter argument to that is our senses have been built over 4 billion years. They have become highly developed. There's a huge incentive for organisms to have the key, the sense key, to unlock the doors of the environment. Now, if there were dimensions or there were realities in there somewhere that had some significant impact on our mortality, on our welfare, on what we felt or how we could catch or how we could do anything that we do, if it could make our sex better or some other kind of bullshit, under, you know, seeing the quanta themselves, if somehow that would enhance our control of the environment, our ability to navigate the environment, I'm fairly certain we would have developed those senses. Okay, we have a really developed sensing toolkit for navigating reality, the material world. Now you want to talk about the fantasy world of heaven? No, we can't navigate heaven, we can't navigate hell, we can't navigate the gingerbread forest, we don't have the key to the Emerald City You know, yeah, we don't have keys, we don't have perception of fantasy worlds built into our senses. That's true, because they don't exist. Okay, so again, I just think it's logically incoherent to claim there is something important that we're not seeing. And that's your implication, that there's something important in some minutia that we're not seeing. Now, there may be something important in terms of it'd be nice to be able to leap past time and be able to, experiment with our lives and figure out, well, what if I do this instead of doing that, and what would the outcomes be? Now, that would be really nice. So if you want to say that it would be great if we could bend reality, yeah, that would be quite charming. But that's what you're asking. You're asking us to have the ability to bend reality, not to see reality. All right? And those are two different things. So, yeah, I call bullshit. More pseudo-science. More, okay, I'm going to, imply that there's something we're not getting the real story of evolution. We don't really understand that it's a replicating molecule and 4 billion years of gladiator war evolution. Now, those two facts in jeopardy somewhere in this theory of multi-dimensions and multiverses and all this other stuff. Are those two facts in jeopardy somewhere? Is there some other fact in one of these alternative universes that somehow contradicted that reality? I don't think so. I haven't heard one. So again, it's this context thing. All right, and part of context is that we have to live a life in the reality that we are perceiving or understanding. And that if we understand it to be, oh my God, it's horrible. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really hard to do. But if it's the truth, if we have the power, as we do as individuals, because we are separated from the slavery, so to speak, so we have the power to live in a nice, comfortable world and not see the slaves. Should we exercise that power? If you lived in the American South on a nice plantation and you had the ability not to see the field slaves, you had an ability to just keep your vision in the front yard and never look at the backyard, should you deliberately do that? Or would it be the rational thing to do is understand your world and understand what it's made out of and have some respect for it? Ooh, that's a tricky concept, isn't it? Respect for the truth, respect for the reality, and maybe even have that vision in your eyes all the time, that your comfort is being made out of their discomfort, that maybe that's an important fact of your existence, and maybe it should be in front of you all the time, because you're not going to change your existence, you're not going to do anything constructive to that truth if you ignore that truth, if you stay blind to it. And if your excuse is, well, it makes me sad, or it makes it hard for me to digest my lovely truffle dinner, what is that what you people, that's as good as you can do? It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me less effective in charming everybody. I can't play my violin as well if I'm thinking about slaves. Is that the excuse? That's it? And then I mean, getting back to the other guy, who didn't say, he hasn't said anything. He's up to like version 9 of his video series on antinatalism and depression, and he's saying less and less and less with every single video. What the hell, server error? That's not a good thing. Not my problem, I suppose. Well, I guess it is my problem. That's not the right page. There, that is. So yeah, this guy. Well, disappeared. Okay, so he's written up some little script. Well, I guess I might as well look at some of it. I mean, I should go through the comments, but it's the same old people, the rose bushies, the twit from an anus twitting, the same jerk-offs, excuse my French, just blowing the same smoke up anybody's ass who's saying, don't worry, be happy. So, alright, so caution, poison. So here's a guy who's conceding he has a depressive disorder. He's he's vulnerable to depression, and so his medicine for that is refining and bending reality. All right, the truth is dangerous. That's he's conceding. It's dangerous. You can't play with the truth. And this whole writing here, he's pretty much talking about how the truth is, you know, yeah, the truth might suck, but you don't have to let it suck you, kind of argument. And I would be agreeable to that if that's what he was doing, but he's not doing that. He's not saying accept the truth, talk the truth, just don't live the truth. No, he's saying don't talk the truth, don't think the truth, don't realize the truth, and that somehow you're a better person because you live longer. Somehow it's okay. So here he is, a guy with a depressive disorder, you know, maybe a genetic function, who's conceding he's running from the truth, and yet he's talking about having a kid at his age, no worse. So it's like you can't get more hedonistic, you can't get more selfish fuck, and yeah. So I mean, you know, he certainly deserves me as a son, you know. You know, look, I you know, you can give people, you can write it off in the past. You know, people had kids in the 50s. Well, I'll give them a bye because everybody else was doing it. Okay, nobody talked about life being kind of sloppy and stupid, and so they just didn't have any perspective. But you have the opportunity now. It's been right in your face. Okay, the victims of your crime have walked right up to you and said, "I'd rather not be raped anymore, motherfucker," and you're just saying "fuck you" to them. So I mean, from in perspective, if this was me looking at a video of my father before he had me, and I watched him arrogantly talk about how he doesn't give a fuck, basically, about the truth, and that he's too depressed to deal with reality. But he's perfectly competent to create life. He's perfectly competent to take somebody else's welfare in his hands, those dice, and throw them on the fucking goddamn crap table. Yeah, I mean, god damn it. You would not be having a good day. Yeah, it's just so, this is evil. This is the face of evil. Okay, there it is. Okay? It's not, try to be Spockian, try to accept reality, don't let it emotionally destroy you, but you have to deal with it. You have to, you know, you can't separate yourself from it. You know, no, they're just going to, placate their own sensitivities, their own emotional vulnerabilities, their ego, and they're going to placate it by running a shiv in the back of the truth. They're going to kill the truth. They're going to slaughter it. They're going to murder it to save themselves. The horror of having to do something about it. So, of course, Rosebushy, brilliant, and the video description is pure class 2. La 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 la, and then the, you know, the twit from your anus. Yeah. You are what you eat is a point I've made about all this too. Yeah, you are what you eat is some sort of concept here. You know, somehow if but you eat the truth, you are the truth. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, but it's another cliche is what it is. So now they're metaphoring food to philosophy. That somehow we do those two activities in any kind of similar manner. In the food reality, the foods that aren't too good for you generally are the foods that taste the best, right? Unfortunately. And in the philosophical world, the truths that are the most full of truth, facts, and reality are the ones that are the most repulsive. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way it worked out. And so you're just saying, you know, you wouldn't say you should eat a diet of junk food, and yet you'll say you should eat a diet of junk food as a philosophy, because you can get by on it. And it somehow makes you a better person to be a liar. I don't really think so. I don't think there's really any chance at all of that. So, all suffering remains projected over everything. Boo, instead of living. ... Instead of living. So your life shouldn't be about recognizing the reality, seeing the perspective, the context, applying it to the reality, understanding that your life is built on something, the slaves in the backyard. It's an important fact, but you're just saying no. Just live, just drink your champagne, don't worry about whose blood it's made out of. That's more important. You're saying it overtly. So I can only say it's all win for my side, because if this is called intellectual integrity, you don't have any, right? There's just nothing here. So Rosebush makes the point that atheism has a similar kind of negative effect, negative truth effect. But the medicine, but it would be mad not to do so for that honey on which to swallow the medicine. And so it makes sense to, for example, complement atheism with an Epicurean outlook on life. So again, we should outlook on life. So we should take the rational outlook on life and pour crap on it, chocolate sauce, so we can't see it anymore. We can't see it's a piece of shit anymore because you poured nonsense on it. Sugary, sweet, happy bullshit on it to make it edible. And that to you is being rationally responsible, intellectually competent, reasonable. That's the reasonable thing to do. Is not to say make the meal better. No, just pour crap on it so you can make the crap edible. Wow. Yeah, there's just nothing you can say to this. This is, I expected, I just wouldn't have anticipated this as an argument, because like even when I argue with kids in high school, I mean, they didn't really do this. They would never concede they were just soaping the truth, that they were just whitewashing. I mean, whitewashing was a term. I mean, everybody was kind of aware of the fakery, and so if you were going to argue something, you had to come up with something like a little bit real. You couldn't like argue from whitewash, argue from this makes me feel better. I mean, that would be a laughable argument in debate. Well, I think it's the truth because it makes me feel better. Huh? There's nothing to say to this crap. So anyway, but that's what's happening here. That's the context of this conversation. So the context is that context is not being appreciated. Context is something to be manipulated and distorted to make your existence more satisfying. It's not your job to change you and your reactions, to try to in a Mr. Spockian manner control your emotional reaction to the truth, which I concede I'm failing to do in many respects. But there's a lot of stuff shooting depression arrows in me at once. I mean, my age, my living circumstances, a lot of things are breaking down all at once, and so I have a lot of reasons to be depressed. There's a lot of things dragging me down, and but the failure is mine, regardless. I mean, staying strong to fight the fight. Yeah, it's hard work. It's hard to get the programs all in a row, to get them to play along with each other. And that's sort of what you have to fight to do. I mean, I can have a program that says, be Mr. Spock, Gary. And the other program says, well, that sounds like a good idea, but I can't do it because I'm hysterically upset. And, and they're just sitting there fighting with each other, and there's not much I can do about it. But again, that's not the problem. The problem is you don't fix reality by bending it and distorting it and perverting it, by putting your colored glasses on. You have to put them behind your eyes, not in front of your eyes, if you can get that metaphor. You don't have license to change reality. You have license to change your reaction to reality. And I'm going to concede that some of these realities are just so brutal that it is amazing I mean, and the truth is, look, we wouldn't have gotten where we are now. The human race would not have gotten here if it was looking at reality. And you bastards must know that. You must realize that if it wasn't for the God delusion and other silly delusions of motivation and ego, that human beings wouldn't still be doing this aggressively. Okay, they would have fallen, they would have jumped off the train a long time ago if they didn't fake it. They didn't break the game by not seeing the game. You know, by playing checkers on the chessboard. I mean, they're cheating the truth. And yeah, it's working for a while. But yeah, even that line where it's not going to work anymore is coming right up to smack you people right in the head. Okay, because you're not dealing with reality. You're not dealing with the human ego, the human violent nature, and you're expanding technology. And those two things are going to crash into each other, and you're pretending it's not going to happen. There's a ton of people pretending there isn't something fundamentally wrong with the economy, and that the fundamental wrongness isn't going to be fixed by a little tweak. You know, you're not just going to turn a little dial a little bit and everything will be just fine. You'll be tuned in again. So yeah, there's lies all over the place. And you know, and the reason why that happens is because people are doing exactly this. They're just bending reality to suit what they need to hear, what they want to hear, what they want to believe, rather than accepting that this game is stupid. I mean, it is broken on so many levels, and it's really unplayable by somebody playing fair to the truth. If you're going to be fair to the truth, it's not a playable game. Because there are way too many victims. There's way too many unfairnesses that you have to find acceptable. And just admit it. I mean, just don't. I mean, it's like beneath me to have conversation with people who are cheating this hard. I mean, I really don't want. I really, you know, you should, you know, be wrong because you're stupid. Don't be wrong because you're cheating. I mean, fuck. I mean, you can accept having a friend that's stupid, but you really can't accept having a friend who's a fucking cheater. And you're fucking cheaters. So anyway, enough of the video. Yeah. So much work to do here. That's depressing too. I mean, it's just depressing how daunting it is. Oh, you're selling the truth. Oh, shit. Well, good luck with that. Yeah. Fuck. Reproduction. Gladiator war. Really not complicated. 2 facts. Reproducing for the sake of reproduction. Gladiator war. Not complicated.